Hey, dude,
What's
Mr.
up?
Mr. Touretteski. I had a feeling you might be around. I had a feeling you might be around at this time of night. So you were the one who called the other night with there were like 4 or 5 other people attached to it, right?
Yeah.
How did that end up? How did that end up working?
Fun.
Yeah. So how many other people were added to that? I've never this is the first time I've ever tried to actually utilize this.
Well, yeah. It's it's awesome. I mean, you get maybe I think ten's the max.
10? You've done 10 before?
Yeah.
That's astounding. I had no idea. How did everyone keep straight and not talk over each other?
Well, I guess you just listen to people.
Yes. So we're also here on the line with the Wizard of L.A. The Wizard of L.A. I invited another person here. His name is Mr. Touretteski. I like to sing theme songs for these podcasts, and so it's always cool to be able to collaborate with these guys. And now, so Mr. Touretteski, the Wizard of L.A. I've had our journey together during the Wizard walks before. Do you live in Los Angeles, Mr. Touretteski?
No, I'm in South Florida.
Gotcha.
How are you doing over there, Mr. Touretteski?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We're doing nice and warm. It's very Floridian out here right now with our heat wave. So
Floridian.
Mosquito's the state bird.
It really is.
Here it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Wizard of L.A. is going to be running for mayor, and would you vote? Would you vote for the Wizard of L.A.? Would you like to hear all of his campaign promises?
He's mayor of L.A. or
I'm thinking like California.
I like the way it is in the present, like it happened already.
Yes.
I don't think California has a mayor. I think they go by cities, don't they? Like you got to be like the mayor of Compton first.
This would be mayor of Los Angeles, which I haven't decided what year it's going to be, though. I don't think it's going to be this next one here, Kurt. I mean,
numerological. It's got to be numerological.
I agree. I have to run the numbers on that.
Yeah, we got to run the numbers.
Well, what's the parking situation over there where you're at? Because that really has a big effect on everything.
I just kind of lay in the street wherever I want. And that's where I take a nap.
You get prone. Do you lay on your back, or do you find it's better if you just go belly down or on your side?
I can always have better astral projections when I'm on my back.
Yeah, there is that.
There's more scuffing if I lay on the side. I just like my elbows,
It's pretty much the Wild West here. It's first come, first serve.
Yeah. Do they have meters in town there?
Yeah, I got a ticket the other day.
Uh-oh.
All right,
Maybe
here's a perfect example. Tell us about this experience.
Please,
what happened.
Please, unload.
Okay, so I was thinking I was going to go to a corner shop and grab a slice of pizza, and instead of putting 40 cents into the meter to give me like 10, 15 minutes, I come back to a $32 ticket. So I'm debating whether I should create a stink about it or just pay it and move on.
Well, I know. This would be a magic trick, but if you go to let's say the nearest auto supply store and you buy let's say some kind of belt or something for the engine. I've done this in the past, and then you can test the ticket, and then you show them a copy of the receipt. And you're like, look, my car broke down there. There's nothing else I could do. I had to get a new thing. Believe me, it was a pain in the butt, but at least I got the proof. In the past, that's what I've got.
That's a superlative suggestion.
Yeah, that's been my thing in the past. That a former life used that opportunity.
You have a belt
because he didn't like paying for those tickets.
Well, how did that pizza slice taste? Is what I'm wondering. Did you eat it there, or did you come back?
It was worth $40.
Good.
That's good. Well, see, you had the right attitude about it.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
idea.
You went to enjoy it.
It was worth the $40. For real.
It's a consciousness thing. You know, you come out, you have your car. It's like, and you know what? I'd go after my second term. I think I'd go after pay toilets.
Yeah.
Because at the point that your bladder is getting extorted to be able to relieve yourself, you know,
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing.
On a
I
pink
think
toilet?
that ought to be budgeted into any of the city's infrastructure that you can have, you know,
infrastructure.
hygienic things.
Yeah. All the blueprints, too. Now, you're saying pink toilets?
Pay toilets.
Oh, pay toilets. I like it. Pay toilets.
Yeah, at any point in time where it's like it's going to cost, you know, a quarter or 50 cents or more for you to be able to relieve yourself.
Ooh.
You know,
Ooh.
that's like oozery on a whole other level. And I totally double entendre that, though. I think that
I totally double entendre.
You have to go somewhere.
That was acrobatic.
You have to go relieve yourself. And you didn't have that change. You know, what do you really? What alternatives are you given at this point?
That's when you really look for a helping hand. That's when you in that moment in time become homeless. You get to experience homelessness in that moment because then you have to ask someone for change to open up to go to the bathroom.
No, it's not going to work here. In fact, it's ass backwards. You should actually get paid by the property owner not to piss on his property.
Oh, because a lot of people piss on a property?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's when you got to go, you got to go. No one's going to pay to use a toilet. You're going to, you know, hide behind the bush or hold on to...
Huh.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I bet you there's a plant that really benefits from human urine. If you just find those plants in that garden, you're like, please, you're helping grow the garden.
I love the way you're thinking there, Kurt. See, you immediately went to there's got to be a plant that craves urine.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. There's too many brilliant plants in this world.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if there could be some sort of Porto angel sculpture that becomes the new thing, like
Porto
the flamingo or the lawn jockey.
Yeah.
And basically property owners could put this sculpture up and it hides like it's basically like some sort of composting toilet that you can put on the corner of your lawn. Just the provision for people that are going to come by and do it, that they could just do it. You know, the angels holding the basin that goes down into the gray water tank.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so are there plants and things that grow from human feces? Because you could actually drop it into like a tube.
Mushrooms.
Into like a reservoir. What are they called?
Mushrooms.
Oh my gosh, you could have a whole garden of mushrooms.
I'm calling Reverend Mark in.
Yeah.
You know, he has
oh my gosh.
many methodologies to
that's true. Everyone who eats these kind of foods take a crap in this, you know, compost toilet in our front yard in the angel's arms, or take a crap in this one. If you eat this kind of foods, that'll go in a different compost thing, which will grow another plant. And then before you know it, you got the garden. You're like, you're feeding. Talk about you are what you eat. It's like, whoa, okay, you ate this healthy stuff. Everyone's eating these healthy mushrooms and learning so much in such a short amount of time.
You could even have some reading material on a little plaque next to it, so you could educate.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can push. That's where you can also have the button where you push it, and the Wizard of L.A. he spouts wisdom.
Right. There, we'll have little tours where you just hit the button.
Oh, that's good.
You know,
that's
lets
good.
you know little daily affirmations of.
Ooh, what if we rent out? Okay, so what if we rent out like a parking lot or something, and it's like this. I don't know if it would be a maze or whatnot. I'm just imagining cardboard things, and then that guy didn't want to hear anymore. I love it, Mr. Touretteski. That's great. He called me during a Yachtly cruise show. There were like 4 or 5 other people on the line. Oh, that was so funny. So imagine if there's like this funny little thing where you got to go through this maze, but through the maze, maybe we have like that reflective. We were talking about that reflective paint, right, at the other night. What if you got that in there and it's sort of like that room full of mirrors kind of thing? Maybe
Oh,
there's some
you know
awesome
what?
messages, and then in the
Yeah.
middle there's some crazy, other interesting thing that you learn.
You know what? It's brilliant, and I already have it. I'm writing it down.
Oh, that's good.
Got my trusty Post-it notes with me now. If you ever need to do spellcraft on the fly, a Post-it note's pretty handy.
Ooh, wow, that's good. You know what? We can invent the post us notes, where on those post us notes, you're putting your
It's
dreams.
after we won reality.
Yeah, it's the way of casting spells. Like, okay, this is the best way to cast spells. Write it down on this post us notes, and then bam, or post you note. We'll call it a post you note. A letter U, bam, and you're putting it right there, and it's your higher mind telling you. You're like, what do you want your higher mind to put into the? It's like the chef in the kitchen, the genius. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to put into the post you note, and then boop, there it goes up on the wall, and you're always looking at it. You're always being reminded of this awesome, best possible version of yourself, of your highest joys.
I love this idea. So we get the cardboard, and you know what? We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Really, this one has to this one has to stay in the vault.
Yeah, I got you.
You got it though. You're onto it. We'll go back and we'll reference this podcast.
Yeah,
because it's brilliant.
Those were the little filaments of what then all of a sudden become the big sculpture, the big fun house.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And on a related note, would it be fun is if we could join farces with some of these local carnivalians, these guys with the pop-up carnivals like Windy City Carnival. Well, at least that's what it was in Chicago. But they come around to these various places. Wow, how cool would that be if we got with the Wizard of L.A., fun house, we just go, hey, can we just kind of piggyback right on you guys? And, we work some 50-50 deal, who knows what. But then people come into there and it's like, wow, we have our own fun little fun house that kind of goes along. We enjoy the aspect of being a part of a circus and also a carnival and also that fun house aspect. It could be a very educational process,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you will.
So freak show.
I think imagine it's a one-day event called Town as Circus.
Ooh, I like it. Tell us.
It's, what if The Purge was more about just like fun and
high fives and hugs and jumping on trampolines?
Chase someone down and offer
instead of the
them
purge, it's called the merge. It's called the merge.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point, you just imagine someone walking out of their home. They go out to get the newspaper, the mail.
Yeah.
And, you see stilt walking man on fire doing like a tango with Abraham Lincoln swinging a grappling hook on top of an aquamarine triceratops.
Oh, yeah. Just spreading this great love and joy. That could be the greatest picture film.
Like a bearded lady holding hands with a midget.
Well, why not add that? That'd be great.
I would add maybe a kiddie pool filled with pudding on wheels that they would be doing that wheels. In.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give it a little extra, context.
Yeah, a little extra context and gravitas while we're at it.
The gravitas, exactly. We want it to be really, really profound in in its portrayal.
Oh, what about
a blimp? Bearded Lady Day? There seems like there ought to be with some of the other holidays that are sort of flicked out there willy-nilly.
We could invent that.
We could
easily and effortlessly.
Once you become mayor.
Yeah, that's true. I like the idea of having a kind of hands-off policy on a lot of the stuff. I got to tell you, I know it's very, very maybe counterintuitive.
Well, you could always enforce.
It would be more about less laws than more laws. Although, you know what? Having days and dedications, that's pretty cool. I mean, we could have instead of.
You guys are on yesterday. I'm on today.
Nice.
Yeah. Today's the 9th. You're on the 8th.
Oh.
Ooh, which is all the more spectacular because it's infinity. We're both looking at two different days. How cool is that?
We're stretching time
wow.
and space, and he's
time.
on the other side of the country.
I declare today non-binary day.
Well, what about
non-binary, non-dual day?
And yet we're still zeros and ones. Isn't that funny? We're all made of zeros and ones.
Yeah, it's non-binary, non-dual day. It's maybe day. Is it yes? Is it no? It's maybe.
We're on the spectrum day.
We're flipping the coin day.
Yeah. Flipping the coin and it lands on its side.
I was just gonna say, absolutely.
My luck.
It's like flipping a die and it lands on its corner.
On a corner.
I think Mr. Touretteski sounds like a wizard to me.
Yeah, you are a wizard, Touretteski.
I think he.
Yeah.
I sense the magic within him.
Yeah, there's me and the friends that I associate with, we're all wizards.
I love it.
How long are your beards?
My beard is freaking long.
Do you ever tie it to
beautiful.
the other beard? Like, have you ever seen what's his name, what's his name? And the 5,000 Fingers of Dr. something. It's a Dr. Seuss movie. Dr. Seuss put that together, and there are these guys. They have a beard attached, and they're riding roller skates. They're like brothers, conjoined at the beard.
Yeah,
conjoined at the beard.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Conjoined wizards.
I think we could start a viral video revolution of slow motion beards blowing in the wind.
Oh yes.
And something else. I would add something else to it,
like a time lapse. We can do a time lapse.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And then we go, and the beards, my friend, are blowing in the wind. The beards are blowing in the wind. The beards, my friend, are blowing in the wind.
I think you guys call it a Santa Ana.
Santa Ana, ho, ho, ho.
Forwards and backwards.
Yeah, and backwards and forwards.
It's so palindromatic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think...
Dramatic.
Okay, well, do you have, Mr. Touretteski, do you have a lot of bearded wizard friends?
I do.
Yeah. Do you think you grew beards because you were wizards, or are you wizards and that's why you grew beards?
That's good. Good palindrome.
So it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You passed the test.
But I know the answer to that.
What's the answer?
Please.
The rooster.
Oh.
The cock of the walk.
I think the beard came first, actually, and the wizard followed it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The power of archetypes.
Yeah.
Images. Because when you're walking around, well, you know what? We even got how many different ways you can see a similar archetype. Like I think the dude from The Big Lebowski is actually a wizard archetype.
Yeah. Hey, man, you spilled my beverage, man. You spilled my beverage.
It's a hapless type of wizard.
Yeah.
So it's a wizard nonetheless, I think. He even wears a robe through a lot of the movies.
Yeah. So, good point.
I think there's a lot of parallels there that you can see in that. It's interesting, too. Did you ever look into Dudism or the Church of the Latter-day Dude?
I have not yet, but I will now.
Yeah, this is so brilliant in its own way, because I think the creators that came up with this, check out the symbol too. It is a yin yang with a bowling ball and a bowling pin inside where the eyes of the koi would be.
Oh, wow.
And so much of this is Taoist philosophy, which is you could almost call like a type of animism or a proto-Chinese shamanism that's been reskinned into the allegory of the dude of Big Lebowski abiding. So it's
Dudology. It's all a part of Dudology.
Wow.
Yeah, non-dual, because the dualism is the black and the white, or the thing inside of it, and the third element that contains it is the unity, and that's the circlet that's in it. So that's like, you still have that third place to play. You still have
oh my god, that's great. That's
and the non-dual place.
Yeah. Well, I was reading it recently about how Hermes was like, they call him liminal. They called him, he was like this trickster. He was this funny little guy, just like, like the
Hmm.
jokester. And it just kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, that's also a magic god and a resonance that has to do with those concepts. With that's a wizard god, Hermes, Thoth, or Thoth,
Oh,
or
yes, the
Tahuti,
Emerald Tablets of
or
Oath. Oh, my God.
Hermes Trismegistus. They're all like different variations of that thing. And yeah, like that's there's a concept of the trickster. Reverend Mark and I talk about this a lot because we play in these fields, these Elysian fields we play in that have to do with the trickster. Because oftentimes, like you find this runs well, as part of that imagery, that there's a trickster that hurts, and then there's like a hero trickster.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's both, though, because the lessons aren't necessarily easy.
Mm-hmm.
Though there is a hero trickster, and that is the one that is creating the trick in order to help you develop and grow.
Ah, brilliant. You're not shaming anyone. You're not embarrassing anyone. You're not going, oh, you're so dumb. You're going, hey, let's bring it out. Bring it out. Turn up the volume.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see it run in the spectrum, and it's not even, I would say, a cut and dried thing, because when you start to get into these these larger concepts of what these things represent, there's a lot of gray area in some of it, just because it's based on what it is. It doesn't make a judgment. Though you have some that you could say it's more malevolent, or it's more what you would, it's your Leprechaun movie
It's
version of it.
It's the labyrinth itself.
Yeah, right. And it's there. The thing is, even with those, it's there in a fashion that if you weather it and you're tested by it, you can come out much more fulfilled and much more aware of who you are. Because the thing about the trickster, and this is also, I think we've talked a little bit before about the fool and how the fool was allowed to exist, the jester, to make fun of the king.
Yeah, like he had like a free, like, okay, you're in the VIP section, like I'm hiring you to do this funny stuff, make me laugh,
Mm-hmm.
And what a brilliant thing to be able to slip that little thing in there, that little piece, those pieces of truth that the audience knows about, but it kind of goes over the head of the king even.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if the king knew, I mean, this was sometimes seen as a necessary pressure release, like a pressure valve release for the populace when they saw things that, it needed to be processed based on how, the kingdom was ruled or what have you, that it was getting some kind of voice play, because, it was that idea behind, well, if you want to tell the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you.
Wow. That would be interesting. A movie about a guy who becomes, the Joker for the kingdom, simply because he's got that message to embed into, I don't know when hypnosis or any of that was realized, but who's to say that maybe this guy really wasn't the originator? That idea of realizing, like, seeing how those spells were cast through the words that were being used. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to be a Joker. that guy's able to make fun of the king and queen. I'm going to put the truth into these jokes, kind of lace it in there, and kind of educate the populace about what's going on right now. That might be an interesting idea.
I think that would resonate with so many people, because I think that's often why you see people gravitate towards it, stand-up comedians and others. And this is where you will often see the sad clown represented. Why is the clown look sad?
Ooh, maybe because no one's getting the joke, or there's no change being made, or
because they are aware, they are operating at a level of consciousness, and they are aware of a situation. And to the people that aren't, it's like, haha, that's funny. And they're working on a whole different level.
It's modern day conspiracy theories.
It's, well, at any point in time, when you have different paradigms of reality, like major paradigms of reality that are competing with each other, and it's set up
what
to
a great
be
way
a
of
sort
putting
of
it.
zero-sum game, who has what is right, what is truth at that point? What is truth
Wow.
in a place where everyone can produce evidence?
It's like the emperor has no clothes kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like no one wanted to say it, but that little kid is like, hey, you're calling out a reality that people are aware of, but actually trying to live in a different reality of. That's so interesting. They're all trying to agree to a specific kind of reality, but right here they really know what the other reality is. Wow.
Yeah, I think I think it's a thing where okay, well, you have to consider. Have you guys hung out with many fools or clowns or
like ethical clowns?
Okay, all right.
I've had clowny friends.
Tell us about your why, as to why you gravitated towards that, what it is that you enjoy from that.
Testing other people.
Mm-hmm.
Testing other people to see if they can understand or read between the lines. Make it so vague and real at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I share that motivation in my own in my own dealings, because you basically are screening folks by doing it. You're basically screening them.
Yeah.
With your presence. Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's a good way to put it.
You're screening their consciousness.
Yeah.
Because you know if they're going to get the joke or not. See, that's why I love I'm Wizard of L.A. When somebody looks at me and if they make a judgment because they heard someone call me that, I have already determined where they're like, how serious they take themselves, what they, like I already know the game.
Yeah, they're revealing it right there.
Based on that. So you do that too. Okay, so tell us more about that.
I love the idea of giving people the opportunity to see a different channel of information than they're really possibly going to see. Maybe stumble across on YouTube or something. Someone might send it to them, or some weird Instagram thing. But to give it to them right there in reality, in whatever reality they're experiencing, and to go, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what's going on.
In a transatlantic accent.
Welcome to the Great Space Coaster. Hold on to your hats and your cigars. And chew on those mushrooms while you're at it. Munch, munch.
Do you guys feel like sacred clowns? And by that I mean, do you feel like you are wired into something larger than yourself, like you're sort of into some kind of source energy, or however you want to define it? Or are you just full into full?
Wow. I'm trying to fool the fool, because at one point I thought I was part of a bigger universe, and then it just comes tumbling down. And it's full in the full, because half of the people that don't understand what you're trying to say, it's like deer in headlights. They're just oblivious. Like 80% of the people that you tell a joke to just don't get it. And they just stare.
I think when we can find a reward in doing it anyway, it's truthful.
Oh, well, at that point, it's selfish. Not,
Well, you know what I think, though, that oftentimes it's a delayed reaction, and the flowers grow when and so in those moments when the people don't seem to sort of get what you're going for on the surface level, and this is just my own experience, where even I was on the other side of it at times. And then it took a while and it was like, oh, I see what they did there. Yeah, all right. And
Right.
it can happen much, much later because, if you've already basically incepted the idea, it's there. It's the same way that you won't notice anything that's kind of outside of what your current worldview or your paradigm.
Wow.
You just gloss over it. Though when you grow into it, it's like, oh, wait, you unlock that island now on GTA, and now you can go there, and you know what that's all about.
It's such an interesting thing because they have nothing else to compare that specific thing to. When it's a brand new
Right.
thing, that's quite a marvelous thing. Like I remember when, as people claimed it was Tesla rockets or something shooting through the sky, it sure looked like something out of this world. And so it's like, oh, okay. There's like this moment of like, okay, I'm looking at this thing. I don't know how to react to it. I have nothing to compare to this. I've never seen something like that in the sky. So what am I, it's like, they're like, there's so much to consider in that moment. and all of a sudden they're like, okay, I think I got this. Okay, there's a pattern. I feel safe there. Oh, there's a rhythm. Oh, I feel safe there. Okay. And then they could start kind of silently making these check marks of yes, or a stamp of approval. It's like they're going through the shunk. They're getting the stamps on the documents, and they're like, okay, cool, I'm safe with this thing. Oh, and maybe I want to contribute to it now. Which is always fun.
Yeah. But then at the end of the day, you find out that the princess is in another castle.
It's a marvelous analogy for it. Do you think that it can have to do with sort of recognizing an impermanence in things? That you can't grab onto it. You can't essentially hold it. It's like trying to hold the ocean. So that's why it's like, in your role or in your position, it's not so much about not being able to win, because you can win. It's about not being attached to the outcome of it.
So just doing the art for the sake of just doing the art because it's exciting in that moment and you're happy just to do that thing?
Well, more about creating the intention without being attached to the outcome. So basically allowing, like you could make the intention and say, well, I want to create this work or this art or this joke. And my intention in creating it is to produce a certain effect.
Yeah.
And if it produces another effect, that you're okay with that.
Right. Like you're not making that agreement in your brain. Like, okay, if it doesn't go the right way, everybody knows how I get in those situations. I'm going to lose my shit if it doesn't go right. And instead of going, that's what I'm defining it as, we could go, you know what? Here's this idea. However, I have no idea how it's going to morph, but I know it's still going to retain that little piece. Whatever it turns into, I'm fine with it. I'm just happy that it's being created.
Right.
And
right.
Kind of going,
because at that point, it's about the process and not the result. Which is more rewarding, because when it's about the result, it scales. And what I mean by that is when it's scalable, you're never there. There's always a bigger place to go. It's like, well, how many followers do you have? Well, how much money do you have? The millionaire is broke next to the billionaire. He's going to keep scaling himself. Like, it's if you're too focused on producing the outcome and it doesn't go that way, then you can suffer and put yourself in a place of suffering by not producing the outcome. Though if you can figure out how to enjoy the journey and the process.
Yeah, so it's like jazz music. It's just like jazz.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a great example. And look what's produced when people sit down and play jazz and just like on a one take, because they're just in the moment of presence with the intention, we're going to play together and it's amazing. And then what they make. And that's, there's a joy in that. There's a deep gnosis, I think, is a knowing that's in that. And at the point that we're not bound to the outcome, because they can do whatever they want with it. And sometimes, as an artist, if it doesn't come out the way that you had planned for it to, if your intention is to sort of make yourself a certain way, and you're moving towards that, when one door closes, another opens. So it's sort of like there's a reason why there weren't 5 Beatles or whatever. You know, like there's ways that it works out that gets you to the place that you want to achieve if you sustain the intention of doing it. You know,
Yes.
you will. It's whether it's failing forward, where you're, you know, or upward into the thing, or whether it's moving from one sphere into another, because you can see, you know, when you look at the trajectory of others and different types of artists and things, where, you know, they just had to fine tune that last little number on the safe combination, and then they cracked it, and something happened, and then that caused something else to happen, and then they had it. And if they had been too hung up on producing the specific outcome,
Yeah.
they have quit or given up, or you know, it could have turned out a lot of different ways, though they probably would have suffered more for it, truthfully, because when you're in that place where you want to get the thing, and it's going to be a thing that when you get it, it's not enough, and you're going to want to get the next thing, then
Yeah.
you're in that place.
Well, at that point, you're solving for X.
Right. Yeah.
So, but there's a catch. You're only young once, but you're old forever.
Yeah. That needs to be a bumper sticker now, I think. That's brilliant. I think that would make people think in traffic.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to cause accidents. That's what it's going to do. It's going to take lives, but for every life that's taken, there's 10 others that are in its place.
You know, it's because they'll be trying to tease their hair wildly like physicists while they're reading on the road.
That's all LA needs. More traffic.
Yeah. Physicists are in these days. I better hurry up and start teasing my hair.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this is, you know, at the point, sometimes too, things that have taken on a life of their own, you know, that is intensely rewarding too, when you can see, well, when something that you intended to do, and then, you know, it's better than you even imagined, or it's more like, you know, like, it's like at the point that you had your hands on it, it was cool already, you loved it, and then, you know, once the various remixes that reality gets a hold of it, it becomes, you know, it's like you have somebody like what is it, Tim Berners-Lee, or whoever gets the stamp of inventing the internet, what, you know, whoever that is, like, okay, and then there's what it is now.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and it takes nothing away from what was to get there. Like, it's
right.
You know, oh yeah, you know, the guy that invented the first warp drive, he's still cool. You know, he took care of that pig and kept it from getting eaten, and so it's amazing. So yeah, you know, it's I think it's pretty cool that when we are in the process, that we can enjoy that, then we don't have to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
There's nowhere we have to be. There's not that sense of anxiety, of urgency, like, oh, you need to do that thing.
Well, and plus it's a willingness to take responsibility for whatever happens, because it's a monster that's run rampant out of our own imagination. We're the ones who planted the seed, so now it's just taking root, and it's going, and whatever, we're letting it take care of it. You know, we're going, okay, higher mind, here you go. I'm filling out some ingredients. Here you go. Go ahead and make it up. Because we know if we got something immediately as soon as we wanted something, would we ever learn the art of appreciation? Would we ever appreciate anything? Or would we be quickly on to the next thing? I grew up where things didn't come to us so quickly. The kids across the street, they always got, you know, the latest toy. You knew that as soon as there was a commercial for a new toy, those kids over there had those toys. Well, as they grew throughout the years, they started to appreciate things less and less. whereas my brother and I would always appreciate, whatever we had with more appreciation, more gratitude. And it was such an interesting thing. So as much as I find myself going, oh man, I want this thing now, in that moment I go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and just play with this idea of just going, all right, go ahead, whatever you want to make it, universe. But you know my intentions. You know what I like. You know how it would work best for me. But you just go right ahead. You just go right ahead. And I'll be over here dreaming of more strange possibilities. I'll be over here dreaming of more, because then it leaves. You're not like going, oh, you're not tensing up. You're not trying to like go. No, you go this way. You're not gonna like blow an eyeball by. By just grappling.
You don't need to blow an eyeball on it.
Yeah.
It's well, it's gratitude is the mechanistic vibration. That's the frequency of it. I think more so than it having to be a thing where it's time related and that you have to wait for it.
Yeah.
It's just often that gratitude, as long as you can maintain a state of gratitude or grow that, then you are aligned with a vibrational field of knowing what it's like when things come to you. Because if you think about it, anytime you're grateful about something, what preceded that portion of being grateful? You received something, or you became aware of something. You had a realization, or you received something. Maybe the receiving is the realization. You basically got something, and you were grateful.
Yeah.
So at the point that your consciousness is aligned with that feeling, expect to receive more things, because you are sustaining that field longer and longer. So as long as you are aware of it, and what happens, maybe in like the example you're talking about, Kurt, with the neighbors across the street, is if the novelty or the gratitude began to wear off because it wasn't kept present-mindedly as they were receiving these things, then that would change what was going on there. And it's interesting because whenever you see someone that has an abundance of material things and don't have that gratitude, they're often very miserable folks.
Right.
This is where you meet the miserable millionaire. And you see money is not the answer to the problem, or fame is not the answer to the problem, because they went through that arc already of being able to receive everything all the time. Though that wasn't actually it. It was the lack of gratitude. So at the point that you go and cultivate gratitude, and one of the other really interesting things about this is it's a great nullifier for lower vibrational fields, because it's impossible to be angry and be grateful at the same time, active in your consciousness.
Yeah, that's quite a challenge.
It's at the point that you get pissed, if you can figure out a way to be grateful, it will nullify that vibrational field. If you could realize it.
Wow.
That's majory for you. That actually is a change that you create in your consciousness that will create your reality. That's magic. Because at the point that you can do that, you go, wait, this shit happened. Well, how could this have been good that this happened? What can I at least say? Like, I got my life.
Right.
I got my health. Do I have my genitals? I just checked. I have those too. What do I have? Do I just have love? Can I figure out where that is? And at the point that you can do that, it can move you from that negative field into something more positive.
There a long time ago, a friend of mine said, "Kurt, wouldn't that be nice instead of the peaks and the valleys, instead of things getting bad and then things getting good? What if things just got better and better?" And when she popped that in my brain, I'd been thinking about that for the longest time, thinking, "Wow, like." Okay, let's just go ahead and just try to get things better and better, and just, if something, see, in that moment where something might seem bad, a flat tire, or, oh, geez, bill is late, I'm getting, are they going to, kick me out of out of here for rent, et cetera, those kinds of things. In those moments, we get a chance to define it how we want to define it as. And that is so powerful to be able to decide how to define something as that. Now, so when people are like, I don't understand, why are you optimistic about the situation or whatever? I guess I've built up such an interesting relationship with it that I guess my low is a different version of someone else's low. I don't know
No,
exactly how to explain it, but
I get it.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's everything in moderation, though, because it's kind of like a drug. Because if you get too much of it, then you become like immune or tolerant to it. So you have to do everything in moderation.
That's
It
what
has to be
Touretteski
a balance.
saying.
'Cause the only thing constant is change.
Yeah. Change and impermanence you can count on. This is one of the reasons why, in some of the philosophies that basically prescribe a variation of the middle way or moderation, and you had that this idea of which I think what you're saying, Kurt, because it is scalable too. You can make things better and better, and you can do sort of the way that a mountain climber ascends and then either goes back down a little and chills for a little while,
yeah,
and then goes up and continues to basically acclimatize themselves as they ascend the mountain.
That's a great way of
the moderation, like what Touretteski's saying there. It's like this is also one of the inscriptions that was worthwhile at the temple to Apollo in Delphi was to say all things in moderation. And it's because of that very thing of knowing, like if you only know one side of something as a polarity and you only know it for so long, you lose touch with the other side of it. And this is why shadow play is important and why I think it's necessary in a lot of what we're doing now when we're going out into the street. We're basically helping folks resolve their shadow with some of these things that we're doing because they've been too much in one side or the other. Like it's too much of if you haven't acknowledged that you were made of all these parts in this totality, how do you ever get back to knowing that other side of you if you spend too much time on it? So the idea of making it better and better, because those challenges will rise too. You could make it better and better. We could say, okay, well then we got the scarcity thing fixed and that money thing was taken care of. And then we went to space and then we did this. And then there were those challenges when, we had to colonize that planet, though we did that. And then, so on and so forth.
Well, I love what you're saying. And now this is what I'm thinking is, so for instance, with what's going out there with the Wizard of L.A. and all the, reality bending, based on those philosophies and the wonderful theories and the magic and the imagination that's being injected into each of those experiences, we could completely and possibly stretch that reality experience of what we're doing such that it actually edges out the other. That becomes so much more apparent that the other reality experience of what I'm talking about is mass media, all that stuff. It goes until that's actually we erase it like an erase board. That's what I'm imagining is that people want to be part of this thing so much that it's like, news, get out of my face. I don't care about this. Politics, get the hell out of here. I'm the politics. I'm the government, and it's quite interesting to get back to what you were saying about the Joker making fun of the king. I mean, that's an interesting thing. How do you have that? How do you get that kind of leverage? Well, becoming the entertainment for those who are in charge of making rules and or breaking rules. So now you entertain them, you tickle their belly, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love it! I'm going to listen to whatever you're saying." And you're like, "Aha! Now the artist has somehow got a foot in this thing." The Trojan horse has opened.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's face it. These folks too that are making those decisions, at a certain level, they what exit strategy do they have amongst the populace? Like what impetus to do it differently, is there at all? If you had an animal, okay, and the animal was, we'll say like ill-behaved, okay, the person that is caring for that animal is only going to see certain options as being viable, how to deal with that. Okay. If the animal has some other way that it can function, and that it's not going to attack the people that actually administering its structure, then you have another option there, and that's just one way. I don't proclaim to say that that's the way that it's going to shake out, though I see the value in giving alternative options. I mean, as someone, I consider myself to be a goodwill ambassador amongst species. Like, my consciousness, it's not bound to this place. So it's technically my skin's not in the game. If I got
Right.
perished in some way, I'll be out there doing my thing, stellar cartography takes over, and it's just like, this is other options for folks to do it, and that they can just go and make it, because that's what happens to a paradigm. Like, to me, if you're fighting with another paradigm, and by fighting I mean you're actively like throwing energy towards it, guess what, bucko? You're throwing energy towards it. Even if you don't like it, you are
Yes.
strengthening
Mhm.
that paradigm, because you're even acknowledging it. So if you really want to change things, direct every bit of energy into the thing you want to build, so that the other one can just sort of shrivel up and fall off like some sort of like vestigial wing that it's not needed anymore. Like, it's give it the opportunity to just don't. That's why, like, no anti-war thing is ever going to work, I don't think, because it's too busy focused on war. Well, it'll work at keeping war alive. If you're against something, you're also holding it up. So if that's the
You're
game
fueling it.
play,
You're fueling it. You're actually you're fueling it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of anomalies. For example, there's a lot of people that have more money than brains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what? I think about a lot of those folks a lot, and what I think is, if they had access to some ideas, that they would do business differently about it. And this is part of the bridge that I'd like to see built, because it's just the same way I know, our friends, and if they had agency of resources, meaning money, what they could do with it. So being able to marry those two sides together is appealing to me, where you get the money people that sort of, maybe they just are not in touch with what's happening down on the ground, with the people that have an idea of consciousness and solutions of what could happen. And if they had the ability to sort of extend their reach and get those great ideas in front of other people, that it could get more traction and steam, and you could go somewhere with it and get them together. Because at that point, then they can change. Like, the person that has money and no sense, ignorance is ignorance. It's not knowing across the board. You have willful ignorance, which sucks. That's when someone sort of does know better and chooses not to do it, which means they don't really know. Or then you have a kind of ignorance that is an innocent, it's a not knowing it, because you haven't had any exposure to it and you simply don't know any better. And that could be solved, because that's just a matter of getting the ideas or the people or the materials in front of those folks. And then at the point that they can do that, then at least it's like, okay, well, you had an option. Well, what are you going to do with that option?
Do you know any zine makers? That'd be fun to have Wizard of L.A. Like, we could make some zines with the people who are involved with the madness. That could be something on that, people to contribute to. That'd be kind of fun. And then at these crazy events, like, here's a 5-page zine or something.
Yeah, if we did a zine, well, what do you think if you got handed a zine? Let's take this to another level. Okay.
Okay.
Because if
Yeah.
you got handed a zine, and you know, in some of the circles that I think we've traveled in, you know, we could end up in places and walk out and have a handful of zines and tracts and other things, you know. What would be something that would actually have you hold on to the thing, share it, take a photo, or post it? What kind of, you know, because if I think about it, I would think almost like in the way that you have the pamphlet in the airplane with a step-by-step instruction of how to
Oh,
save
that's
yourself
cool.
with oxygen.
Yeah.
Like, I just think like if it was going to be something quirky and complex, let's just go for the comic, and kaleidoscopic Jesus has to be in there too. Okay?
Oh, that's brilliant.
We'll
That's great.
just cast all the characters and do it. You know?
Oh,
A
yeah.
zine, it's like,
Oh, my
if
God.
you have articles and things like that, you know, okay, well then we have a blog or whatever. What if somebody hands me a paper that could be left lying around? How could we maximize it? I mean, you already thought about it with the business card with the seeds on it idea. It was amazing. If someone handed
I'm
you a
imagining like
zine,
maybe
you know, and it's
like if it had an activity in there,
yeah,
like if it had those fun activities, like,
yeah,
crossword things, or even, you know, just ridiculously like very simple
yeah,
comics, you know, maybe like by three different artists or something in a little tiny corner, like a word jumble.
yeah, with consciousness vocabulary in it, so
Yeah.
that they have to
Oh,
look it
yeah.
up. Like, gnosis, what? That starts with a G.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then maybe there's specific like letters that are just strewn, that are hiding, kind of like in a Mad Magazine, how Sergio Aragonese, he would put those tiny little comics in the corners, and maybe he puts they're little letters, like you see, letter G12, letter J11 or something. So when the word jumble in there, you actually have to look through those pages to find those letters to then, you know, put that little phrase together. Heck, you could even hide a little QR code in there or something. Follow the QR code. Scan here and 20% off of who knows what? Big question mark. You know, and it just keeps retaining that idea of like the Willy Wonka, you know, of Los Angeles, the wizard, you know, you know, all these fun little things. Heck, we give it in, you know, all of you witches out there. Here's a spell to cast.
No, I know,
you know?
it's great. I've already had.
We are all one. You are us. You know. Like that
I
kind
have
of cool
intentions
thing,
placed for when the lab, the big workshop is made, to be able to have cool things happen where people like
Oh.
and who knows, or maybe even gifted whole estates. Ooh.
Oh man.
But,
Tarot card readings,
yeah,
perhaps.
that
That'd be kind of fun.
you know, you want to figure out who your Charlie Bucket is when you're moving on. So
Yeah. And sorry, who is the Charlie Bucket? You know, oh my God, that it would absolutely be so good if those were like those. Yeah, did you get a golden ticket at the last event?
Yeah.
It'd be fun, you know, those kind of party favor feelings.
I like it.
Of,
I
like,
actually have. I have to confess. I have to admit, I have already put in secret things in some of my Instagram stories.
Oh,
I've
that's
already done
great.
some of these things to see who's on the ball, and I've noticed.
Oh, that's great. So, I saw the one. I don't know how the heck you edited it, but it was really good. I saw that in. I don't know how the heck you do that. I got to start figuring out how to do that Instagram TV thing. I don't know how the heck.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Touretteski, what do you know about this? I got 30 seconds left. Should I hang up now before a full hour is up?
I don't know, dude. That's up to you. But
okay, I don't know if it'll save it or not. So I'll just hang up now and I'll call you guys back.
Hi, it's Mickey Dolenz here. You're listening to Inspirado Projecto.